The 2022 trade deadline has come and gone for Major League Baseball. And I answered two questions. One, did the Jays get better today? Yes. Was it an underwhelming trade deadline for the Toronto Blue Jays? Also, yes. Going into the deadline, if you guys were watching the Blue Jays Center live yesterday with myself and JD Bunkus, all the names we were firing out there, Joe Jimenez on the Tigers, obviously all the Tigers pitchers. We talked about Bednar with David Robertson of the Cubs. All these names that we were firing out there that the Jays need, and these lefty bats, and they need some important stuff there. And starting pitching, you'd like to see another ad there. Well, technically, they added most of that stuff, but not the names we were expecting to see. Now, could these guys come in and impact the team and change a lot of things? Absolutely. But if we're going off of these players' stats, and we are witnessing what teams like the Mariners have done, what the Yankees have done, the Astros have done, the Twins today, for God's sakes, and the Rays did a little bit. How do we feel after this trade deadline? Well, like I said off the top, a little underwhelmed. A little underwhelmed. And I will break down each and every trade and the player that we gave up, what that player means. And hey, because I might have some Dodger fans on here, I might have some Kansas City Royal fans on here, I might have some Miami Marlin fans on here, trying to figure out what the Jays, gave up in these players. Okay? So, let's start with the first trade that happened today for the Toronto Blue Jays. And it was the one that we were all kind of waiting to see what's going to happen here. Like, hello? We all knew going into this, though, that the Jays farm system isn't as strong as it used to be. After the top three of Gabriel Moreno, Ricky Tiedemann, and Elvis Martinez, it really drops off. It really does. And we witnessed that firsthand with seeing the Miami Marlins trade for Jordan Groshans of the Toronto Blue Jays, who is a top 10 prospect. Heck, you can even call him a top 5 prospect if you want. And in return, the Blue Jays get two relievers, and Anthony Bass, former Blue Jay Anthony Bass, and Canadian Brampton native Zach Pop, and also a player to be named later. That tells you right there what the MLB, what the opposing offices, front offices, see with your prospects. Your top 5. Maybe Groshans might have been 6 or 7, but either he's in there. And that's what you get. Well, I'm not saying Bass is no good. I'm not saying Pop is no good, because I looked at Bass's numbers and he's been sparkling this year. Zach Pop's only pitched, this is only his second year in the big leagues. So he's very raw talent. You got lots of control when it comes to Zach Pop. You have an extra year of Anthony Bass because there's a team option on his contract. So that's nice and great. And we'll go to their stats. So, where do we got here? Anthony Bass, he's 34 years old. Honestly, but when you're pitching as well as he is, who cares your age? And you're a reliever. They usually last a little bit longer anyways. And he has the team option. He has an ERA this year of 1.41. Now, albeit they're not a lot of high leverage games because you're with the Miami Marlins. Let's be real. It's not very high leverage. Maybe in the games they're high leverage, but meaningful games, not so much. 1.41 ERA. However, remember when he pitched for the Blue Jays? I believe it was in that COVID 2020 season, the shortened year. He was solid for us. He was great. He's pitched in 45 games already this season. Maybe that's not a whole lot, but 45 games. He's got 44 and 2/3 innings. He's got 45 strikeouts. But that strikeout per 9, right? So 9 strikeouts per 9 innings, if you want to look at it that way, which is not bad. It's not bad at all. The Jays need some strikeout stuff out of their bullpen. Yes, Jimmy Garcia can get some strikeouts. Yes, Jordan Romano can get some strikeouts. But after that, you're not really sure where you're going to get those consistent strikeouts. Let's say, for example, you got second and third, nobody out in a big moment of a big game, but it's only the 7th inning. Well, do you go to Jimmy Garcia there and then figure out the rest? Right? Or do you go to Jordan Romano? No, of course not. You need that strikeout in that moment. So you're going to go to an Adam Simber? Well, no, you're not. Are you going to go to a Trevor Richards? You're not. You're not going to trust that. And if it's Tim Mesa, and he's not facing a lefty, you're running that risk there. So bringing in an Anthony Bass, who gets a strikeout per 9, who's been great this season, I mean, look, it's a good ad. Like I said, is it a great ad? Is it one of the premier names we were hoping for? No, it's not. But is he going to make our team better? Yes. You know why? He gets brought onto the roster. Zach Pop gets brought onto the roster. You know what happens? Andrew Vasquez gets claimed from the Philadelphia Phillies as he's DFA. Then you get Anthony Banda gets DFA. So you're telling me Zach Pop and Anthony Bass are not better than those two guys? Of course they are. But they're not the names we were hoping to see. Right? And I think that's why a lot of Jays fans, including myself, I'm not trying to just defend the front office. I think it was a very underwhelming trade deadline. I was really hoping for more. I was really hoping for the Blue Jays to really hammer home the Syndergaard and Raisel Iglesias deal. I was really hoping for that. It didn't happen. You saw what the Phillies gave up Mickey Moniak, right? A former first, what was it the number one prospect at one point? And he's not bad per se. So that's an everyday player right there. So, you can't really go off of that. And again, the Jays farm system isn't all that great. So unless you're giving up one of the 3 big names, you're not going to get much. So they go for Anthony Bass. They go for Zach Pop. I don't know who the player to be named later is. I mean, could mean nothing. Whatever. But you get those 2 guys. And we'll talk about Zach Pop in a second. Because he's very raw as a pitcher. And his stuff is nasty. He just got to figure out how to use it in the big leagues. Because obviously, like I said, he's a Brampton boy. And lots of control on him. Obviously, I mentioned his only second year in the big leagues. He's only 25 years old. And look at that. The Blue Jays just took the lead in the top of the first against the Rays. You love to see it. Anyways, he has a 3.60 ERA, which is not bad. Again, for a young fellow like that, fine by me. He's only thrown 20 innings, so I want to see more of a sample of Zach Pop before I really get a gauge of what he is to this team. The one thing I do like, though, in 20 innings pitched, my writing stinks, I think it was 2 walks or 1 walk. Either way, very minimal. He pounds the strike zone. And oh yeah, his stuff is nasty. Throws hard, which is great. Velocity out of the bullpen. Fantastic. Now, and it didn't amount to much, though, so far in his career. 20 innings pitched, only had 14 Ks. But his slider is very good. He's just got to use it more to get that swing and miss. And you get him with Pete Walker and whatnot. He'll groom the guy. That's fine. But then again, I'm sitting here talking about grooming, and yet we have, I don't know, about 60 games to go in the season. It's not the time to start grooming somebody. You got to hit the ground running. But what is Zach Pop's not going to be your 8th inning guy. He's not going to be your 7th inning guy. He's going to be the Trevor Richards replacement. Because you know what happens? He comes in, or actually, no, that was Mitch White that they replaced. But I like the additions. I like Anthony Bass. I like Zach Pop. We'll see what happens. Seems like Marlin fans are pretty underwhelmed with Jordan Groshans. And honestly, I'd be too. Because I've never been a Groshans guy. From the moment we drafted him, he looked great in the early goings of the minor leagues. But then as he really started to go and the injuries took a toll a little bit, and he started to hit some walls here and there, I'm like, I don't feel good about this guy. I just do not feel good about him. And it's been glaring this year, because he had a great start, but it's been very glaring that he just does not have the pop. 1 home run in AAA this year. 1! We talk about how Gabriel Moreno doesn't have the home run power. He has 2. Groshans has not hit for power. He has not gotten on base a ton. Again, and he's at that point where it's like, okay, what are you? As a first-round pick, what are you? And the Jays were like, look, we need this. We need to go here. Look, your value is not all that high, but it seems like it's not getting any higher. Got to make that move. And they did, and they got a couple bullpen arms that they're obviously going to use, so we'll see what happens moving forward. Let's move ahead now to the Dodgers trade. Where the Jays trade, I don't know anything about Moises Brito. I don't know anything about that guy. But Nick Frasso, I am so sad to see him go. Dodger fans, if you guys are on here, I'm so sad to see Nick Frasso go. That guy punches guys, or at least in the minor leagues, right? In the lower half of the minor, I think he's maybe in Double A now. I can't remember. But he's striking out guys at will, and I'm like, damn, the Jays need strikeouts, and that's there. But I get it. You know, you make that move, it is what it is, and it's unfortunate that Nick Frasso gets dealt. Because Mitch White is a Toronto Blue Jay now, and Alex DeJesus is the prospect returning to the Toronto Blue Jays. Before I get into Mitch White, and I want to get Dodger fans' opinions on him because his numbers aren't terrible, but I want to get Dodger fans' feels on Mitch White. So, where are we here? Alex DeJesus, 20-year-old kid, right? Shortstop, third base, at least that's what's listed as on Baseball Reference. 20-year-old kid in advanced A-ball. Oh, that's pretty good. 20-year-old in advanced A, that's not too shabby. And he's hitting .282 with a .376 on base percentage, .421 slugging. He's got like 4 home runs in advanced A-ball. He had like 7 in A-ball before he got called up. He's got an OPS of .797 before he got called up. He had an OPS of .880 in A-ball. And I'm like, okay. All right. I mean, again, he's a prospect, and at this point where the Jays are, prospects are like, trade chip. And so you kind of restocked a little bit there, and you also got Mitch White as well. So Mitch White has a .370 ERA this season, 15 games played, 15 games come into pitch, and he started 10 games. So he's kind of the way I look at it, and even Dodger fans can attest to this now because they've seen both guys. Does he not give you that Ross Stripling vibe? Like, he can come out of the bullpen, he can start for you, he's not going to strike out a ton of guys. You know, he's 47 strikeouts and 56 innings pitched. So he seems a lot like Ross Stripling to me. And Dodger fans might be able to help me out with that, but I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get from Mitch White. It's all a wait-and-see game for me. Just unfortunate that we see Nick Frasso go. I really, really liked him as a prospect for this team. But again, it's a prospect. You got to make a move to get better. And will he be better? Well, you traded for a guy who basically got Jeremey Beasley traded to Pittsburgh. You know what? When you add Anthony Bass, Zach Pop, and Mitch White, and you send packing Vasquez, and you send Jeremey Beasley and Anthony Banda packing, yeah, you made your team better. But again, like we said, underwhelming? Yeah, absolutely. The final trade. The Jays, and this was like the last-minute trade, we acquired Whit Merrifield from the Kansas City Royals. Very shocking move. And they trade away Samad Taylor, who's really come on. You know, last year he came on a little bit, and this year he's been okay in AAA. They're kind of taking that next step for him. And I loved him dearly, Max Castillo. Obviously pitched for the Blue Jays a little bit this season. I really liked Max Castillo. I would have loved to keep him around. You know, but again, I don't know. This is the type of moves where I'm like, is it a good deal? Because with Merrifield, right-handed bat, you were looking for a second baseman, right? Because you know Espinal's been really struggling lately. Biggio's been better, but still not great. And Whit Merrifield is a seasoned veteran at second base. He can play all over the place. He can play center field. He can play the outfield. He's very quick. So there's a lot of things moving there. It's unfortunate. Max Castillo, I love the guy. However, again, you do have controllability when it comes to Whit Merrifield. He is signed through 2024. So you have the end of the season and then 2 more full years with Whit Merrifield. And the money-wise, he's not making a whole lot. So it's a good news in that sense. And if you look at his numbers, before you even get to the numbers, the dude ain't vaxxed. He didn't make the trip to Toronto. So that's got to change. But if that's the case, don't you have to wait a couple weeks or something? So I don't know what the deal is there and how that's going to work out. They obviously have it all planned out. But we will see how. I don't know what is going to happen, really. Where we are. He's having a down year so far. So obviously, he made the All-Star team a few years. 2-time All-Star, I believe, and he's been a pretty good hitter for the most part of his career. A lot of bat-to-ball skills. Does not strike out a whole lot. 240 average, 290 on base percentage, 352 slugging. Again, doesn't, and only a 643 OPS. Put in perspective, Raimel Tapia has a better OPS than him. So, again, he's having a down year, right? He's used to being over 700 almost every season. Again, not a power guy, but a lot of speed. I think he has like 15 stolen bases this season. And this is the thing I like. 420 plate appearances this year, 61 strikeouts. Very, very minimal strikeouts from Whit Merrifield. And that's what I really like. The fact he put back to ball and you put him in a lineup like this. And with George Springer's kind of question mark, right? How often is he going to play? Whit Merrifield's hit leadoff a ton in his career. And he's got speed. Maybe give it a shot. He'll have that option, and he'll have a bunch of lineup protection as well behind him. We all know that. So that's the trades for the Toronto Blue Jays today. As I mentioned a few times, was it underwhelming? Yeah, it definitely was. You know, seeing names like Carlos Rodon floating around, seeing like the Syndergaard and Iglesias stuff almost all day long until like the final 15 minutes, where he saw that the Phillies were finalizing it and they got the deal, but no Iglesias. He went to the Braves on a separate deal, and Syndergaard goes to the Phillies. It definitely hurt. Definitely hurt, because considering we were seeing that all day long. I know a lot of Jays fans are upset, and I'm definitely not happy per se, but I wouldn't say I'm angry because, look, I will give the front office the benefit of the doubt. They have deserved it time and time again. With trading Tapia for Grichuk. And we all, everyone's like, what the hell are you doing that for? This and this, all these numbers, ground ball rate, what the hell's wrong with? And we all see the dividends that's paying for us right now. They make all these signings happen. They've done the trade, the Jose Barrios trade. They re-signed the damn guy. Like, there's so many different things. They drafted Alec Manoah. They drafted Bo Bichette. There are so many things you can talk about when it comes to this front office. They have done great. Now, do I think this is a great trade deadline for this front office? No, I wouldn't say so. But did you get better? Yes. Did a lot of teams better than you get better? Yes. So we will see what happens. Look, we can look at numbers. We can look at stats and on paper all we want. But I'm going to leave you all with this. Jays fans, how many times on paper have the Blue Jays or any team supposed to do great and fall flat in their face? It's happened more times than I can count. You bring in better players. You send off crappier players. Like with Beasley and all those Banda and the other, and Vasquez gone. And you bring in Bass, Pop, and Mitch White. They're all better than those guys. You bring in Whit Merrifield. Does that maybe get rid of a Bradley Zimmer because Whit Merrifield can play center field as well? Who knows? But does it make your team better? Yes. And I'm going to leave it with that. All right, so you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed the video and are kind of feeling the same about me, kind of in between about this, maybe on the lower end, because that's kind of where I am too, about this trade deadline for the Toronto Blue Jays, smack the like button. Do appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button. You guys not already, comment down below. Thoughts on the video, thoughts on the trade deadline for the Toronto Blue Jays. Twitter link is down below, so follow up, send me a DM, do all that great stuff. The Instagram link is also down below, so follow up there. If you guys have not done so already, I will talk to you guys Jays Edition post-game. Jays-Rays. Game one of the two games set down at the Trop. And first game after the trade deadline. If this can go one of two ways for the Toronto Blue Jays. They can either take it as our front office has faith in us. Let's go out there and make them proud. Let's go out there and make it happen for them. Or it can go like, they don't believe in us? The hell? And it can go the complete opposite. We will see how it goes, all right? But tonight against the Rays, looks like they're winning right now, so we'll have to see how it all plays out, though. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and trade deadline coverage. We'll talk to you guys then.